I am your friend, Dr. Charles Apoki. I was born before the independence of Nigeria, a year before. And I started reading early. I started listening to radio very early. I picked interest in current affairs very early. At 66, I know a lot about this country. And we speak not because we hate any person. We speak not because there is any specific thing to benefit. I will never contest election. I will not accept a political appointment. I have never done government contract. I don't solicit for anything from government. I don't run a church, even though I'm an ordained clergyman. But I love this country. I owe a lot to this country. This is one of the best places to be born. This is one nation with abundant opportunities. I believe that if Nigeria remains one, we have more opportunities. If Nigeria remains one, it is better than dividing Nigeria. Number one, we can never ever divide Nigeria peacefully, because of the complexity of this nation and because of the hatred and anger that has stayed in between the tribes, the different units that have made up this nation for a long time. The next thing is that if you divide Nigeria into 50 states and let each of those states be an independent nation, it is the same people that will be in those nations. It's like cooking a pot of soup, big pot of soup, and sharing it into different plates. It's the same soup. You might think I'm going to contradict myself, but I will not. The next thing is that from the study of history of nations that have broken up, it has never ever been peaceful. It has never ever been clean. It has involved a lot of lives being lost. India in 1947 gained independence from the United Kingdom. After some time, there was agitation by the predominantly Muslim Pakistan segment, and Pakistan was partitioned from India. Several people died. A lot of losses and displacement of hundreds and of thousands, if not millions of people. After some time, Bangladesh was created out of Pakistan, and a lot happened. Catastrophic crisis. The next thing is that there was Kashmir. They have Indian-controlled Kashmir, Pakistan-controlled Kashmir. They still fight. The recent one-day international cricket that was played in Pakistan, India played in Dubai because of an attack that took place in Pakistan when India went to play in Pakistan. If you take former Yugoslavia, after President Tito died, there was crisis. underground anger and disaffection erupted like a volcano. There was ethnic cleansing. I saw terrible video images. Aman Paul was covering us at that time, and her interview with Bill Clinton of flip flopping. Kosovo was terrible. And then there was the breakup into Macedonia, Kosovo, Albania, Serbia, Montenegro, with a lot of lives lost. And war criminals were taken to The Hague, some died, some, and all that. There are only very few nations. Czechoslovakia was able to split peacefully. And so at their level of intellectual, political, social development is far higher than we in sub-Saharan Africa. When the Soviet Union broke up, it was not an easy thing. And the Russia-Ukraine war is still a fallout of that crisis. Thank God that the nuclear-powered submarines that were in Ukraine were ceded to Russia. If not, we'll be going into a third world war. Now, if you break up Nigeria, it will be very devastating. Imagine all the buildings the Igbos have in Kano, Kaduna, Lagos, and all that. They will suddenly be in another nation or in other nations. Imagine all the resources, all the northerners in all the states of the Federation doing business. They will suddenly become foreigners. They will need to have passports. They will need to take visas. And imagine all the pent-up anger against Fulanis. You find out that there might be violence. And so I believe that with a big population, we are able to defend ourselves, even though we are not doing it well now. We can become a bigger economy, but there needs to be modification. Nigeria cannot continue with this present structure and attitude. What are the major issues in Nigeria? Number one, greed and quest for power by regional elites without consideration for the development of this country and the unity of this country. They only unite to steal. They only unite to steal. They come as houseflies and maggots to feed on the decay. When they want to steal our money, you don't have Igbo, you don't have Yoruba, you don't have Hausa. It's houseflies are united. Maggots are united. So, there's no need to break this country into small units. Then another thing is that politics in Nigeria is the politics of me versus your people versus my people. That is very deleterious to this country. The next thing is that we don't have politics of holding people responsible. So we have this bias to always defend our person who is in power, even if he's not doing well, or keep quiet if he is not doing well. Now, the next thing is that politics in Nigeria is too expensive. And because it is too expensive, people spend a lot of money that they want to recover when they get into office. One other thing is that because of the present system, people have access to dirty, cheap money from oil and from other things. They want to steal. And if I'm stealing, I'm a good thief in the sight of my people. This tension that we have, how do we break it down? Let there be peace. This is not the first time I'm doing this video. This is not the first time I'm making this suggestion. But what bothers me is that when you make a video like this that will change this country and change our situation, those of you who take my videos to do YouTube, to do Instagram, TikTok, you just like sensationalism. If this country gets destroyed, we won't have time for YouTube. I will leave before you. I will be very comfortable outside this country more than you. And if you are coming here to comment and you don't have common sense, I will whip you. Listen carefully before you make stupid comments. So, number one, some parts of this country feel negated in the distribution of power because politics is authoritative allocation of resources. Politics is who gets what, when, how much, and how much. So this contention, let's diffuse it and turn it to healthy competition. We have 6 geopolitical zones. When I say South-South, now one stupid person will come and say there's nothing like South-South. Use your brain. If there's Southwest, there can be South-South. Use your brain. Use your brain. Don't talk anyhow. So we have the Northeast, we have the North Central, we have the Northwest, we have the Southeast, we have the Southwest, then we have the southernmost part of the South, which is South-South. If you look at the map of Nigeria, there's that projection into the Gulf of Biafra. That is, or Gulf of Guinea, there's Gulf of Biafra. That is the South-South. Now, instead of having national parties like UPN, NPN, GNPP, or as we have SDP, NRC, now we have APC and PDP and Labour Party. Let's have the 6 geopolitical zones register parties there in the 6 geopolitical zones with different names, different titles. By doing that, we have broken the cabal of wicked elites that capture the wealth of this nation. So in the Northeast, they have their own parties with their own names because the Northeast alone is big enough to be a country or even countries. The North Central, Kogi State alone is big enough to be some countries. Then you have the Northwest, let them have their own political parties. Let them have their own electoral commissions in their states. And the electoral body should be under the jurisdiction of the National Judicial Council. Because if it is the judiciary that eventually determines the outcome of elections, they should be privy to the conduction of elections at the party level according to principles that align with the Constitution so that we don't spend so much energy in post-electoral cases. So we now have 6 regional electoral bodies. If we have these 6 regional electoral bodies independent of each other, One man cannot alter the will of all the voters in the country. Number two, let's have a 6-man presidential council. One from the south-south, one from the southeast, one from the southwest, one from northwest, northeast, north central. So we have 6-man presidential council that will replace the Senate. The Senate is a bloody waste of money and time. People who have been governors, people who have been senators, people who have retired as senators or whatever, they come back, they sit down and waste our time and money. Let's scrap the Senate. The House of Representatives is good enough for us. The regional houses of assembly will be there. The state houses of assembly will be there. Now, the first thing is that you don't leave Northeast to come and campaign in Southeast. So you speak to your people, tell them what you want to do for them, and you will contest against your own person in that region. So you are not contesting against a Yoruba man. You are not contesting against an Igbo man. You in the Southeast, you will contest among yourselves. And what happens is that you will see that we'll be bringing out the best out of these regions. The 6-man presidential council, each person will be the presidential spokesman for 2 years. Then it is rotated for a period of 12 years. The balloting for the slots will be done by a council of state of former presidents, vice presidents, chief justices of the Federation, and then under the supervision of a presidential electoral council. And then the 6 presidents, the first person takes the first shot. In 12 years, all segments of this nation will have had a shot at leadership, and then we will have variety. The next thing is that this 6-man presidential council will have a mutual regulatory effect on the 6 of them. One person cannot just unilaterally come out with a decision that would affect the whole nation based on his own tendencies, tribal inclination. The next benefit is that 6 portfolios will be assigned to these 6 presidential presidents. 1 defense, internal affairs, foreign affairs, works and housing, finance, and then petroleum. You people like petroleum. If not, I will have said agriculture. And then these other portfolios can be appointed and approved by the House of Representatives from nominations from the 6-man presidential council. So if they bring one ministerial nominee, it comes to 12 ministerial nominees plus the 6. Yes, that's 12 ministerial nominees. How do I suggest that these nominees come up? The problem with Nigerian politics is the winner takes it all mentality. It leads to desperation. That's why people rig, that's why people kill each other. Now, if we make it in such a way that the next person to the president from the region becomes a minister of state in the ministerial council, because if I won with, let me just use 20 million. And the next person to me got 14 million or even 16 million. You don't say that that person does not have popularity or influence. He should have a voice. He should have a voice. So if we have this 6-man presidential council with this council of ministers from the regions, one person cannot bring his cronies, like as we saw in Buhari's time. We are seeing now, somebody will just counter everything to his party, to his tribe, to his friends, and to his cronies. It will not happen. So we'll have a fair representation of ministerial portfolios. The next thing is that in the states, they will have governorship elections. But those governors in the states, they must not have the same parties in all the states. Each state can have their own parties so that we don't have a one-party regional governance. Each party has its own, each state has its own party. Then we'll now have parties at the local government level to contest elections at the local government level. So we break down this monolithic, oppressive structure. There is Yoruba Party in the UK. There are very many small parties in the UK in different countries. The Green Peace Party or Green Party, I was in a city in Germany, they ride bicycles more. It is because that is a Green Party state. They want to conserve the environment. So we now have more participation in the leadership and in the administration of the country. The next thing is that there are resources that will accrue to the federal government that will be used to manage the army, external affairs, and several institutions. But the regions and the states should control their resources. The only reason people are fighting against resource control is oil, because oil is cheap, dirty money. Nobody is talking about the gold that is illegally mined in Zamfara state. Nobody is talking about californium that is illegally mined in some parts of the north. Nobody is talking about bauxite, talking about several things that are illegally mined in different parts of the country. Now, when these regions decide to harness their resources, you will find out that these regions will develop more. They will be more effective in contributing to the development of the nation. There has to be an equalization fund, because if one part of Nigeria is not developed, it affects every other person in the other part of Nigeria. Let's take my state, for example. I said that this rotational governorship in Delta State has its advantage. Ibori came into power. He did a lot in the whole state, but did a lot in Ogara, where he comes from. If Udwaga had done in Ishekiri land, where he comes from, Abigborodo, what is called Ode Ishekiri, did bridges and roads to that area, put university in Ode Ishekiri, we would have had development go to that area, and all of us will benefit. It's not going to be Ishekirinized. So when you rotate, now Sheriff is there. If he does something in Okpeland, he's doing roads and all the flyovers and all that. If he puts a railway line around the state, all of us will benefit. So that is the idea of breaking down monolithic control of power. And then we will disintegrate these elites that have suppressed us. We will cancel the state electoral commissions. Now that local governments are autonomous, which they should be, and control their resources, they should conduct their own elections if possible. If not possible, then the Regional Electoral Commission should conduct elections in the local government. And then they should have independent candidacy at the local government level, at the state level, and even at the regional level. If we do this, you will find out that this nation will become a more egalitarian nation and a more developed nation. And so the next thing is to reduce the allowances of politicians. A minister should not earn more than a vice chancellor, should not. The president should not earn more than the chief justice of the federation. A senator should not earn more than a lecturer. Once the salary structure is such that the benefits are reduced, we will now have more money for development instead of feeding a few fat human beings to the detriment of our nation, our population. By the time we do this, we will diffuse the tension at the center. Democracy will become more participatory, will become less expensive, there will be less desperation, and there will be more of regional integration and national competitiveness. Now, if a president in the presidential council is not performing well, it is up to his people to recall him and do another election. To recall him and do another election. If we put this into practice, the fresh air that will come into this country will be awesome. If you decide to choose idiots in your region to govern you, that is your funeral. At least let other people have a chance to govern themselves and do well. Let's have a system of balance that one man and his cronies cannot immediately take over our nation and appropriate resources, authority, and power to themselves. We'll still have a federal ministry of works to link our roads together. We'll have regional power, electricity generating companies, state electricity generating companies, independent power plants. I was in Adelaide in Australia and I was taking a boat cruise along the Adelaide River. I saw several independent energy plants by the side of that river, supplying different parts of Adelaide and southwestern Australia. We will have a federal police system, we'll have the regional police system, then we'll have state police system, and then county security system. By having this integrated, diversified security system, we'll be able to curb banditry. You won't say you are a Fulani headsman and go to Ebonyi to go and kill people, knowing that the person there will not tolerate your stupidity because he's a native. One of the things that is happening in this country is that when this Fulani banditry started, if you arrested them, took to the police, they will be set free because the person in charge is his brother. And so we will have the regional police, the federal police, but the regional police deals with regional security while the federal police deals with federal crimes like the FBI in the United States. The judiciary has been incapacitated and treated like an appendage of the executive. That's why I said that the Chief Justice of the Federation will earn an equal salary with the president. And then we must specify the allocation in the budget, percentage allocation, and it is disbursed to them by the budget office to every unit, legislative arm and all that. We have the federal account and something allocation committee. So this is something we can fine tune because we are heading for disaster if we do not act fast. We are heading for disaster. I will want you to make reasonable comments and suggestions on how we can build on this. Don't come and say, will they agree? We are reaching a point where every person is going to get tired of this system. We either break. I have an old house I bought that I bought is about 150 something or 75 feet long, very long building. They built it around 1977 or thereabout. I'm going to break it down and lay a new foundation and build a stronger structure. This is how we need to break this present structure that the British put into place that was not destined to work. That was not destined to work. Let's create our own democracy that can work. In some countries, you have what is called consectionalism. In Switzerland, they have Spain, they have regional presidents. The United States is different. We can develop our own political system that will fit us. I remain Dr. Charles Apoki. This country is awesome. Let's make it work. God bless you.